Long overdue. Greddy oil cooler kit finally for my R33 GTST. So excited! When's the last time I was able to do a personal project? Greddy oil cooler kit. This is a oil cooler and relocation kit. All the stuffs that it comes with. I think it's only this and the HPI kit for the ECR33. This looks far more high quality. I think the ECR33 is not a relocation kit either, which you guys with RVs probably know. 25, 26, the oil filter really terrible to get to and always makes a mess every time you take it off. Just some of the pieces. I really would have liked to build a kit myself like I did for my AE86, but this is going to save a ton of time and money in the long run. With the R&D work all being done, and supposedly this should be drop-in, right? Some of the reasons I wish I could have built this kit myself, I believe the fitment where they place the oil cooler core and the relocation stuff is pretty good. I'm not 100% happy with these Greddy fittings. I wish these were just regular ORB fittings like we get in the US. I've had to replace these individually on customer cars, and it may be easier in Japan, but in stateside these are not easy to get even from Greddy USA. There's two 1/8 NPT fittings for sensor fittings on this guy. There's one straight off of the block for another sensor fitting. In the future, I'm definitely going to run an oil temp sensor at least, and it'll be off of the relocation. So yeah, I'm going to assemble a bunch of stuff, put all the fittings on, get this guy lubed and tightened up, and let's get this oil cooler on. All right, got the diverter plate off. One thing I am a tad concerned about, this is obviously an ECR33, but with the R33 front on it. So is this bumper gonna get in the way? I mentioned that because I have the Blitz intercooler for this car, and this bumper actually got in the way on some parts for the intercooler pipes. So the oil cooler core is supposed to go right there. Hope that's not going to be my biggest holdup, being that this is a GTR front bumper and I have a Blitz intercooler. So I'm really hoping the appropriate holes are still available and the appropriate real estate is still there, because I would like this to be a weekend project, not a whole week project. Please, please. Cool, got these guys assembled. Ran into a little bit of a problem. So remote oil filter mount, guess where it mounts? Alright, so the Japanese instructions say right next to the washer tank. Yeah, the picture is totally not clear. Place oil block stay on the side of the washer tank. But I'm pretty sure it's right there at the bottom by the apron. But unfortunately, here's our problem. So if you see right there, there's a big hole. So some front mount intercooler kits, they want you to cut that big hole so the intercooler pipe wraps around, goes down into there. No wonder the instructions say not compatible with Greddy 24F intercooler kit, I think, and I think that's the one that goes across. So I'm pretty sure right there used to be two bolt holes where that remote mount goes. I think what I'm gonna do, you see there's an existing M6 bolt hole. There's another one over there. I might have to bolt in a bar and then drill two holes right here. Maybe nutsert, something to be able to mount that remote mount. But yeah, not surprised running into drop-in issues, right, with a modified car. You just gotta expect it. Alright, so here we are, more problems. So if you look at this, they actually want you to trim at the bottom, but I obviously don't need to. If you look down there, there's plenty of clearance. Getting ready to unbolt this guy and trim it, but if you see, that won't even line up even close with that. These two guys are touching already. I'm gonna call it a night, figure it out in the AM. Am I gonna make a bracket to extend this out so this lines up? Am I gonna just drill another hole here? For sure, I think I'm gonna have to trim this up, but I'm going to sleep on it for tonight and battle this guy tomorrow. But that blue core looks pretty cool so far. I'm debating if I want to continue to run that air diverter or not, just because this guy looks so pretty. Until tomorrow. Alright, we're back. You know it's Saturday because I'm wearing a regular t-shirt. So I did a little bit more research. Luckily, I found this blog post of a guy installing this kit on a R34 GTT. So similar kit. A spacer goes here. This guy ends up sitting behind center supporter. I have two horns here. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're not going to be able to bolt into the same spot. So I might need to bend the brackets to find a place where I'm going to put the horns now. Ugh. Cool. So under the car, Yeah, I ended up not having to slot this bottom part out to for clearance for the oil cooler. All right, so we got that situation handled for now. The remote block off where that big hole is cut for the old front mount intercooler. I found this piece of metal at home. I think I'm gonna cut this up to fab up a bracket for the new remote mount. Yeah, that's one thing I miss about working a day job was pillaging the scrap metal bin. The scrap metal bin was full of treasures for someone like me. Felt like the freaking Little Mermaid getting stuff like this. All right, awesome. After a little fabrication work, this is what I came up with. That L bracket comes factory in the kit, but I'm gonna use that top rail to mount it to the body. And then I kind of got a rail system right here. Yeah, I can adjust this in case I need to adjust like the hose fitting position or how this goes. But yeah, looks like this should work out. Let's go get this guy installed. I had to source this hardware, but I'm gonna use the original hardware that came intended for this bracket here and there to attach it to the car. Let's go do that right now. All right, awesome, got that guy bolted in there. I'm not sure where the original bolt holes were, so I'm not 100% on how far back or how far forward we need to put that guy. But luckily, I have that slider for some adjustment. And you can see right there, we may be limited on how big an oil filter we can run. I typically run the really big 300ZX filters, but I might have to run a shorter one with this. You can see I have a little bit of adjustment. Not a whole bunch, because bolt holes are going into where that intercooler hole went, but yeah, hopefully this should be enough. Like I said, I don't know where the original mounting holes for this guy are supposed to go. But we're pretty close. I think we can start plumbing the lines now. All right, let's see where we're at. So got both lines on the cooler installed. I'll show you guys the line routing in a sec. Just want to show you, yeah, 300ZX filter, monstrous, but too close to all this stuff, the alternator bracket, the belt, and also the fan blades for my comfort. I'm actually gonna run a smaller filter instead. I got 2 more lines. Those are probably gonna be a bear to tighten onto the oil filter block off. Let me get those guys tightened down and then I'll show you the line routing. All right, definitely gonna be tough to see, but got my lines on the oil filter block off fully tightened. Amsoil oil filter for 88.6. I learned that these work for Skylines too, because some of the aftermarket oil filters like Greddy advertise as fitting a bunch of different vehicles like RB, 88.6. So that's how I know 88.6 filters fit RB engines. So yeah, much shorter filter. I'm far more comfortable with the distance away from danger for that oil filter. And yeah, why don't we take a look under the car, check out the line routing. Looks pretty cool already with that blue cooler. We also got some provided tubing to keep those braided lines safe away from danger. And kudos to Greddy. This manual, despite being in all Japanese, was actually excellent. I especially appreciate this line routing, so there's basically zero room for error. I know I've installed other oil cooler kits before where it's like, is that the outlet? Is that the inlet? Is that the suction? And then you're like looking through that thing with a flashlight trying to figure it out. All right, so before we lift the car up, our top line goes actually through, our top line right here goes through this headlight assembly and then down into the inner fender well. Take a look. And then you guys can see our bottom line goes above the frame rail and into the fender well, and I'll show you guys where those 2 lines end up. Got both our lines from the inner fender well. These will actually go under, tucked up in here, and around. The Greddy instructions actually tell you to cut this out. This was already cut out on my car, so I imagine this car had this oil cooler kit at one point when it was in Japan. But yeah, we're gonna go up over our tension rod brace, and you can see right there it ends up at our relocation. So yeah, I'm gonna get some of that convoluted tubing, protect some of these guys. Included in this kit is this handful of zip ties too. So yeah, once I get those lines situated, I'm gonna go ahead and prime the oiling system. Take the fuel pump fuse out to disable the fuel pump, crank the engine for 10 seconds. I'm gonna do that maybe 2 or 3 times to prime the oil system. Get oil into the cooler unit and then all the lines. Recheck the oil level. I'm probably gonna have to top off. Also at the same time, check all the points of connection. Hopefully, you know, cross your fingers, there's no leaks. And then after that, I can go ahead and start the car and then double check for leaks while the car's running. All right, in this trunk, got my fuel pump fuse removed. I primed this guy already a few times, but double checking the oil level, it was still full, so I imagine there's a ton of volume of oil to move. So I'll just show you guys. I'm just gonna prime it one more time. We can count to 10 seconds. Yeah, I checked the dipstick. We're about a quarter quart away from full, so yeah, it did suck up some oil. Double check all your fittings. Make sure nobody's leaking already. Usually a big warning sign is when you see a puddle of oil on the floor. Cross fingers. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put in about half quart. I'm gonna go ahead and start it, run outside and check for leaks. Now would be a great time if you had a friend to tell them to stand out here and yell at you to shut it off in case there's a problem. Alright, so I topped off about half quart extra. Let's cross our fingers, get this guy started. Pray for no leaks, please. Alright, well, so far so good. Let that thing run for a little bit. Checked all the fittings and mounts for leaks. So far we're alright. I'm actually going to just continue to drive it, monitor the lines, because in some instances AN fittings kind of gotta like settle in the lines and everything. The engine will move. Although things are good now, you still want to be on the cautious side and just continue to monitor the lines. You absolutely do not want a pressure oil leak. That'll ruin the engine and ruin your day. But yeah, so far successful install. Next step is to get an oil temp gauge on the car, or an oil temp sensor and gauge on the car, so when we do like a track day, canyon driving, we can monitor the oil temps. Alright, buttoning up the car. Last few issues to take care of. So I don't know if this was because the GTR front conversion, but my two horns were bolted and then facing this way. They're not going to fit with the oil cooler anymore, nor did I want to put them in the same spot and block the airflow to the oil cooler. Just temporary, I have this guy bolted up to the hood latch, and then I made this wire extension. The other thing, this air diverter, this guy's gonna get in the way of the air diverter, so I gotta think about how I want to modify this, if I want to continue to run this. I think some people argue about the efficiency of this. They say that it's better to run without it. Please, someone way more knowledgeable, leave it in the comments below if this is efficient or if this is just a waste. So yeah, I'm just gonna run it without for now until I figure out this situation. It's also so I can you know, flex on people, right? But yeah, out here in the Bay Area, distracted driving is rampant and ridiculous. So all my cars, if it's an old school or not, I make sure all my horns are all working and all as loud as possible, because I consider horns a safety device out here. Again, the distracted driving out here is ridiculous. Appreciate the support, you guys. Questions, comments, concerns, leave it in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys next time.